One of the strategies that we certainly found useful in work that I've done over the years is a very simple little mechanism known as a circle of support. And I think it's based on the principle if 2 heads are better than 1, then 6 or 8 heads are better than 2. And so it's a process of sitting down and thinking and talking and getting to know the person and bringing kind of collective wisdom to the table. I think as Australians, crisis happens, we are pretty good at responding. You know, there's a bushfire or a flood, or somebody dies. We know what to do. We go and kind of look after people. But in some ways, one of the beauties of circles can be actually about preventing a crisis. So people sort of understanding the vulnerability of a person and sitting down together and saying, this is, what could happen. What can we do now to make sure that doesn't happen? Which kind of puts a problem focus on it, and it's not all about problems, but it's about kind of, I guess, just the collective wisdom that comes when ordinary people come together. So I'm not talking about groups of professionals, I'm talking about brothers, sisters, neighbours, cousins, anyone who really loves and cares for the person. And the work I've done has been for people who are connected to their family. So families usually have a pretty good idea of the people who have really loved them over the years and cared about their person, their son or daughter, and looked out for them, made them welcome. And they're the sort of people that you want around the table. So we had a situation where a young guy was going to move into his own flat, and he really didn't have the money. We were trying to find one that was kind of low cost, and yet we wanted it in a particular area of town because it was close to his parents, and nobody had a lot of money to put into this. And we were sitting around talking about what might be possible. He'd house sat for somebody, and that had gone really well, and we were thinking about how do we manage this. Anyway, somebody in the circle says, well, what I'll do is open a bank account, and I'll just ring around the extended family. I kind of know these people. They donate to other causes, and I know that, if I said to them that this guy needs a hand with paying his rent for a little while, that they would be very happy to do that. So he didn't really ask. He just said he was going to do it, which he did, and money turned up in that bank account, which was enough for this man to have 6 months renting a flat and really kind of establishing himself. Now, it was just that making an offer. I remember driving home from the meeting that night thinking, we would never have asked that. We would never have thought to ask that. And yet it was so practical, so helpful. And it made the difference that that man got to have that experience for 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, he was able to, there was a low cost ongoing possibility. But without that, he would have still been at home with his mum and dad and not ready to move when the better opportunity came up. One of the benefits of a circle, and as I've said before, there's something really about understanding the purpose, but some of what worked well with circles of support with young adults who were forging their way in the world and moving into their own places and looking for work and getting married and doing all these things, was that they became a bit of a kind of hub, a place where people could talk about the person, could talk about their lives and really kind of think about how all the pieces of a life come together, so that people might be really, thinking about moving into a new place to live. So that takes a whole lot of thinking and some practical support, but then it's about, okay, so now that you're there, how are you really part of that community? And can you get a job in that community? How do you become known? How do you make friends? How do you meet the neighbours? And so having the kind of collective wisdom of a group of people who help a person to think through that. It can't all be done at once. It's just step by step, working away and community. But having kind of a lot of life experience around the table can be really valuable. So, I mean, I love some of those conversations because, you know, if somebody's getting very precious about how clean the bedroom of a 21-year-old man should be, then it's fantastic to have the mother of some other 21-year-old going, I can't even see the floor of my son's bedroom. You know, like, so it's just a reality check. People with disabilities don't have to be more perfect than anyone else. They don't have to get it right all the time. You know, they so often have a big spotlight on their lives and people are kind of, you know, dissecting everything. So it's not about that, but it's about just getting some ordinary practice, wisdom and experience of life around the table and journeying with the person as they work things out and as they, you know, every situation that I've worked with, the person with a disability has absolutely amazed us about what they did and surprised us. So, you know, things that we put in place thinking this is what will be needed, you know, person quickly took that on, and so the circle and people around them, their supporters, had to then rethink quickly, or rethink what is it that's needed now.